Here's something that's going to bother you. We spend, what, $15, $20 on protein powder? We buy egg cartons every week. We eat chicken breast like it's medicine. We've been told our whole lives that if you want protein, you need eggs. You need meat. You need something that came from an animal. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with eggs. Nothing wrong with chicken. But 2,000 years ago, in a tiny dusty region called Galilee, millions of people survived on almost no meat at all. Almost no eggs. Definitely no protein shakes. And they worked harder than most of us ever will. Farmers, shepherds, fishermen, builders, stone carriers, women grinding grain by hand every single morning before the sun came up. And their main source of protein? A bowl of soup, lentil soup. That's it. A clay pot, some water, a handful of dried lentils, maybe an onion, maybe some garlic if they had it, a pinch of cumin, a drizzle of olive oil on top if the family could afford it. And that was dinner. That was the meal that kept an entire civilization standing. And here's the part that's going to surprise you. That simple, humble, poor people soup, it has more protein than eggs. Way more. And not by a little, by a lot. Let me show you. One large egg has about 6 grams of protein. That's what you get. 6 grams. You'd need to eat 3 eggs just to hit 18 grams. And most people eat 1 or 2 at breakfast and think they're covered. 1 cup of cooked lentils, 18 grams. 1 cup. 1 single bowl. That's 3 eggs worth of protein sitting in a clay dish that cost almost nothing to make. But nobody in Galilee was eating just 1 cup. A working man's portion, a real portion, the kind you eat after 12 hours in the sun, was closer to 2 cups. That's 36 grams of protein in one meal from soup. To get 36 grams of protein from eggs, you'd need to eat 6 eggs. 6 in one sitting. And the lentils don't just bring protein, they bring iron, the kind your blood needs to carry oxygen to your muscles. They bring folate, the stuff that keeps your cells healthy. They bring fiber, the thing that makes you feel full for hours, not just 30 minutes. 1 bowl of lentil soup gives you more iron than a serving of beef, more fiber than almost anything else you could eat, and it costs almost nothing. That's why historians and nutritionists call lentils the poor man's meat. Not because they're inferior, because they gave poor people the same thing meat gave rich people: strength, energy, endurance, at a fraction of the cost. Actually, in some ways, they gave them more. And this isn't modern science discovering something new. This is ancient wisdom that we forgot. People in the time of Jesus didn't know the word protein. They didn't count macros. They didn't read nutrition labels. But they knew from thousands of years of experience that when you eat lentils, you can work, you can walk, you can carry, you can last. When you don't eat them, you can't. So let's talk about what this soup actually was. Because it wasn't what you're imagining. It wasn't a restaurant bowl with garnish and a side of bread. It was survival food. Beautiful, ancient survival food. The lentils they used were small, mostly brown or red. Red lentils were the most common in that region. They've been found in archaeological digs across the Jordan Valley, some of them dating back 8,000 years. 8,000. That means people were eating lentils in this part of the world before they were building cities, before they had writing, before they had metal tools. Lentils were there first, and the reason is simple: they're almost impossible to kill. Lentil plants grow in poor soil. They don't need much water. They actually put nutrients back into the ground while they grow, which means the field is better after you harvest them than before you planted them. For a farmer in ancient Galilee with a small plot of rocky land and unpredictable rain, lentils were the one crop you could count on. You'd harvest them in late spring, pull the whole plant out of the ground, let it dry in the sun for a few days, then beat the pods until the seeds fell out. Small, flat, round little discs, like tiny coins, and you'd store them in clay jars, in stone rooms, in holes dug into the ground and lined with plaster. Dried lentils last for months, sometimes years. No refrigeration, no preservatives, just dry them and seal them, and they're there when you need them. And in a world where famine could hit any season, where one bad rain meant no wheat, no barley, nothing, having a jar of dried lentils in your house was the difference between eating and not eating. Now, the cooking. And this is where it gets interesting. Because the way they made this soup hasn't really changed in 2,000 years. If you went to a village in Palestine or Jordan or southern Turkey today, you'd see almost the same process. Morning. Early. Before the heat. A woman, usually the mother, sometimes a daughter, sometimes a grandmother, would take a handful of dried lentils from the storage jar, maybe 2 handfuls if there were guests. She'd spread them on a flat stone or a piece of cloth and pick through them, one by one, removing tiny pebbles, bits of dirt, broken seeds, anything that wasn't a lentil. This was important. If you've ever bitten down on a tiny rock hidden in a bowl of soup, you understand why. There was no factory sorting these, no machine, just fingers and eyes and patience. Then she'd wash them, pour water over them in a clay bowl, swirl them around, pour the water off, do it again and again until the water ran mostly clear. Some families soaked the lentils overnight. Others didn't bother. Red lentils cook fast enough without soaking. But if you had brown or green lentils, soaking them for a few hours made them softer and easier to cook, which meant less firewood. And firewood wasn't free. Every stick had to be gathered. Every branch had to be carried. Saving fuel mattered. The fire was already going. A small hearth, usually in the courtyard, sometimes inside the house against a wall, clay or stone, with a spot to set a pot. The pot itself was clay too, round-bottomed, blackened from years of use. Some families had the same cooking pot for generations. You didn't throw it away when it cracked. You patched it. You kept using it until it literally fell apart. Water went in first, then the lentils, and then the waiting. Low heat, slow bubbling. The lentils would start to soften after maybe 20 minutes. Red lentils would begin to dissolve, losing their shape, turning the water thick and golden. Brown lentils held their form longer, giving the soup more texture. While the lentils cooked, she'd prepare whatever else was available. And this is where every family's soup was a little different, because it depended on what you had. If you had onions, and most families did, because onions grew easily and stored well, you'd chop one up, maybe 2. You'd cook them in a little olive oil in a separate small dish, or just toss them straight into the pot. Onions gave the soup sweetness and depth. Without them, lentil soup is fine. With them, it's something else entirely. Garlic, if you had it. Crushed between 2 stones or just smashed with the flat of a knife. Garlic was common in the region. The Israelites actually complained about missing it when they left Egypt. Numbers 11:5. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. They missed garlic so much they mentioned it by name while wandering in the desert. Cumin. This was the spice, the one spice almost every household had. Small, dark seeds with a warm, earthy smell that fills the whole room when you toast them over heat. Jesus actually mentioned cumin. In Matthew 23:23, he criticized the Pharisees for tithing their mint, dill, and cumin while neglecting justice and mercy. Cumin was so common, so everyday, that even religious leaders were counting out their cumin seeds to make sure they gave exactly 10% to the temple. That's how present cumin was in daily life. It wasn't exotic. It wasn't expensive. It was just there, in every kitchen, in every pot of soup. Salt. If you could get it. Salt came from the Dead Sea region, or from evaporated pools along the coast. It wasn't always pure. Sometimes it was mixed with other minerals, which is why Jesus talked about salt losing its flavor. Impure salt could literally go flat. But when you had good salt, even a pinch transformed the soup. And then, olive oil. This was the luxury. Not because olives were rare. They grew everywhere in that region. But pressing olives into oil was labor-intensive, and oil was valuable. It was used for cooking, for lamps, for medicine, for religious ceremonies. Pouring olive oil into your soup was like putting money in the pot. A family with enough olive oil to drizzle on their lentil soup every night was doing okay. Not rich, but okay. A family without it was eating plain lentils and water. Still nutritious, still filling, but you could taste the difference. So the soup cooked. Slowly, the lentils broke down. The onions melted into the broth. The cumin filled the house with that warm, toasted smell. And when it was ready, thick, golden brown, steaming, she'd ladle it into a large communal bowl, one bowl for the whole family, set in the middle of the floor or on a low stone table, and everyone would gather around. Father, mother, children, maybe a grandparent, maybe a neighbor, and they'd eat. Not with spoons, with bread, tearing off pieces of flatbread and using them to scoop the soup. The bread was the utensil. You'd cup it in your hand, dip it into the thick lentil stew, and bring it to your mouth. Bread and soup together in every bite. That was dinner, almost every night, for almost every poor family in Galilee. And here's what's remarkable. This meal, this simple, cheap, humble meal, was nutritionally almost perfect for what they needed. They were doing hard physical labor every day, walking miles, carrying loads, working stone and wood and soil with their hands. They needed sustained energy, not a quick spike that crashes, but slow, steady fuel that lasts for hours. Lentils deliver exactly that. They have a low glycemic index, around 25 to 30, which means they release their energy slowly. No sugar spike, no crash, just a long, even burn that keeps your muscles working and your brain clear. They needed iron. Iron carries oxygen in your blood. Without enough iron, you're tired, you're weak, you can't think straight. 1 cup of lentils gives you about 37% of your daily iron needs, more than a serving of beef. And for people who almost never ate meat, this was everything. They needed folate, for cell repair, for healthy pregnancies, for keeping the body running. Lentils are one of the richest natural sources of folate on Earth. 1 cup gives you almost 90% of what you need in a day. And they needed fiber. Fiber keeps your gut working, keeps you regular, keeps you feeling full, so you're not hungry again an hour later. 1 cup of lentils has about 16 grams of fiber. That's more than most people today eat in an entire day. All of this, protein, iron, folate, fiber, slow energy, in a bowl of soup that cost almost nothing, made from seeds that grew in bad soil with little water, stored for months without refrigeration, cooked with nothing but fire and a clay pot. No wonder they survived. No wonder they thrived. No wonder civilizations were built on this. And it wasn't just the poor. Lentils show up at some of the most important moments in the Bible. Remember Jacob and Esau, twin brothers. Esau was the firstborn, which meant he inherited everything: the birthright, the blessing, the leadership of the family, the covenant with God. And he sold it for a bowl of lentil stew. Genesis 20. Esau comes in from the field, exhausted, starving. Jacob is cooking red lentil stew, the kind that turns golden when it's done but starts out red. And Esau says, "Give me some of that red stuff, I'm dying." And Jacob says, "Sell me your birthright first." And Esau says yes. He trades his entire future, his inheritance, his blessing, his place in history, for a bowl of soup. The Bible doesn't soften it. It says, he ate, he drank, he got up, he left. So Esau despised his birthright. The cheapest meal in the ancient world became the most expensive thing anyone ever ate, because it didn't just cost Esau dinner, it cost him everything. But here's the detail most people miss. Jacob wasn't cooking lentils randomly. The ancient rabbis teach that Abraham had just died, and Jacob was preparing a mourner's meal for his father Isaac. In Jewish tradition, mourners eat round foods like lentils because they symbolize the cycle of life. Mourning comes to everyone eventually, rolling around like a small round seed. Esau walked in on a funeral meal and turned it into a transaction. He was so consumed by his own hunger that he couldn't even see what was happening around him. He didn't ask why Jacob was cooking. He didn't ask about his grandfather. He just said, "Give me that red stuff." That's the power of appetite. It blinds you. It makes the immediate feel like the only thing that matters. And a bowl of lentils became the mirror that showed Esau exactly who he was. When David was fleeing from his own son Absalom, running for his life, exhausted, his army hungry and demoralized, people brought him supplies. 2 Samuel 17:28 lists what they brought: wheat, barley, flour, roasted grain, beans, and lentils. Lentils, in a crisis. When a king needed to feed an army and keep them alive, lentils were on the list, because they knew, everyone knew, this is what keeps people going. And when God told the prophet Ezekiel to lie on his side for 390 days as a sign to Israel, he told him exactly what to eat during that time. Ezekiel 4:9, wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt, mixed together, baked into bread, survival food, endurance food, the kind of food that keeps a body alive when nothing else is available. Lentils aren't just mentioned in the Bible, they're woven into it. They show up at funerals and on battlefields and in prophetic visions. They're there when people are mourning, and when people are running, and when people are barely holding on, because that's what lentils do. They show up when everything else is gone. Now here's the part that connects all of this to you. Right now, today, we live in a world that has convinced us that nutrition is complicated, that you need supplements and powders and special diets and expensive ingredients to be healthy, that protein comes in tubs with labels and scoops and flavors, and none of that is wrong. Modern nutrition science is incredible. We know more about the human body than any generation before us. But sometimes, just sometimes, it's worth looking back at a woman in a stone house in Galilee, picking pebbles out of a handful of dried lentils, washing them 3 times, setting a clay pot over a small fire, adding water, onions, a pinch of cumin, a drizzle of oil, cooking it slow, feeding her whole family from one pot, and giving them everything they needed to wake up the next morning and do it all again. She didn't know the word protein. She didn't know about amino acids or glycemic index or folate. She just knew that when her family ate this soup, they were strong. When they didn't, they weren't. And she was right. 18 grams of protein, 6.5 milligrams of iron, 16 grams of fiber, 358 micrograms of folate, slow-release energy that lasts for hours, all in a bowl of soup that costs less than $1 to make today, that you can cook in 30 minutes, that requires no special equipment, no special skills, no special ingredients, just lentils, water, heat, and time. The same recipe, the same ingredients, the same soup that's been keeping people alive for 8,000 years. So the next time someone asks you where you get your protein, the next time someone tells you that you need eggs, you need meat, you need a shake, just remember, there was a time when an entire civilization, farmers, builders, fishermen, mothers, prophets, and kings, ran on a bowl of soup, and they didn't just survive. They built temples, they crossed deserts, they wrote the most influential book in human history. They changed the world on lentils, a handful of seeds, a clay pot, a slow fire, and the oldest recipe on earth. If this changed the way you think about food, if something clicked that never clicked before, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep discovering what's been hiding in plain sight in the Bible, subscribe to Biblical Footsteps and hit the bell. Every week we pull up a chair and find what everyone else missed. The pot is on the fire. Come sit down.